got to fight this guy. Oh, you got injured in camp. You lose to that guy too. Now you're set back when you could have been a champion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like weirdness going on with possibilities and, you know, just luck, bad luck, and good luck.
Bad luck and good luck. Timing, I think, is a big thing.
How is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just. I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
Planet, and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
Joe Rogan dislikes the fact that Jake Paul fought Gervonta Davis, despite their significant size differential. He claims that weight categories exist to keep boxers safe, and that ignoring them is extremely harmful. He claims Jake is more concerned with promoting the event than with justice in boxing. The problem is that Jake's much larger bulk and power could injure Tank, making the battle dangerous and unnecessary.
Sure, but no time limit within the weight class.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be pretty. That would be pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be pretty.
Because you know, like two guys are facing off each other, like, and they know, like, there's no rescue. Every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you go into it knowing you're either getting knocked down or submitted, or you're doing that to the other person.
Michael Bisping is quite concerned about Jake Paul's decision to fight Gervonta Davis at such a large weight difference. He claims that Jake is preparing to face someone around 100 pounds lighter than him, which is not how the sport is supposed to work. Bisping recalls that the battle with Mike Tyson did not feel right because Tyson is 58 years old and had been retired for a long time. This confrontation with Tank Davis only exacerbates the problem because it does not appear to be based on fair competition. Rather, Jake appears to be attempting to gain an advantage for his own benefit. Bisping believes that boxing thrives when the matches are fair, but this battle is so heavily skewed in Jake's favor that it appears to be more of a personal gain than an athletic event, putting Tank's safety at risk.
One thing, that's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word: whoa, 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 stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers, yeah.
Teddy Atlas discusses the fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis, pointing out how large the two men are. He believes Tank is so small in comparison to Jake that he would need a ladder to reach Jake's chin. Atlas believes that disparities in ability and style are a normal part of the sport, but the huge gap in this case is simply too large. Tank is too enormous to even reach Jake, making the battle look like a mismatch from the start.
Things, right? They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract, but I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. the size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but you know, a little different. The size difference was, I mean, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm gonna ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm gonna ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. But it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, AKA Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back there.
Joe Rogan points out that Jake Paul's actions are more about promotion than competition. He explains that these types of fights are set up to attract casual viewers and to draw curiosity by making unusual matchups. According to Rogan, the betting talk and the spectacles surrounding these fights are less about real sporting merit and more about creating headlines. He believes Jake knows how to keep his name in the spotlight and uses boxing as a platform for promotion, even if the matchups do not make much sense.
That's a problem. That makes it a problem. My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love
That
everybody.
had nothing to do with them. That was Jake Paul promoting it. You know, it's just like,
but
doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it, it
watching
bothers the
it is
fuck out
hard.
of me.
Watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia. So it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you in.
thing.
They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in any way they can.
According to Leonard Ellerby, Tank Davis was not mentally prepared to fight Lamont Roach. He says that Tank was dealing with several personal issues at the time and did not want to add to his burden. Fans were looking forward to the battle, but it never happened because they lacked motivation. Ellerby claims Tank was more concerned with controlling his personal life than proving himself in the ring. He further claims that quitting Roach was an attempt to avoid additional stress.
Leonard Ellerby said, to tell you the truth, Gervonta Davis couldn't get up for Lamont Roach. And what does that mean? It means that he could not get inspired, that he was not motivated to fight Lamont Roach, that his mind was not in a place where it was like, yeah, okay, let's get it. And he was going to war with Lamont Roach. He was going through the motions with Lamont Roach during the training camp and could never really get himself motivated to really give the best of himself against Lamont Roach. And that probably affected him during training and during the fight. And that is something that can happen, especially if you really look back on what happened with the Lamont Roach fight and all of the ups and downs about that fight being made. Because first, if you recall, he wasn't supposed to be fighting Lamont Roach. The person he was supposed to be fighting was Vasily Lomachenko. You know, the guy that everybody says that he doesn't want to fight, that he didn't want to fight. Gervonta Davis was up and prepared to fight Vasily Lomachenko. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that if he tries to make a fight with Vasily Lomachenko, that fight doesn't go through. Then he tries to make a fight with Lamont Roach. He can't get the fight done for Houston with Lamont Roach because there was all kind of venue problems and drama going on around Gervonta getting a venue in Houston. So they wind up eventually moving the fight to New York City and pushing it back even further. So not only is it a fight where he didn't just jump out of from his last fight that he had and jump into a fight with Lamont Roach, he got held up. And then also during that period of time, he had to spend some time in jail for a parole violation after I believe that might have been after the Lamont Roach fight.
According to reports, Gervonta Davis plans to retire following his upcoming fight with Jake Paul, according to sources. This decision is motivated less by the desire to leave a lasting legacy or win additional titles than by the opportunity to ensure he has enough money. People who watch the battle think Tank's eagerness to fight appears to be mostly due to the enormous purse he is given, not because of career advancement or competitive ambitions. In this situation, the bout appears to be more of a business decision than a significant step forward in his fighting career. According to analysts, Tank has recently experienced a lot of adversity and stress, which could explain why he chose to fight in a high-profile but unique contest. From this perspective, the bout with Jake Paul is viewed as a wise decision to maximize his earnings and ensure his financial security before retiring from professional boxing. What are you making? Let's get crazy on
what you make. Like, let's go band for band on what you making. Again, there's nothing wrong with Tank going to get his money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, oh, boxing's dead and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing, for sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented, but you can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or Tank people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, that's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you soft ass. You rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz. He says, the people got your chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that you the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates? Oh, my goodness. I mean, here's the thing, though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today, is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur's a runner, or that he's not in the trenches, or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight, or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the sideline because you won't fight him.
Daniel Cormier cannot believe how Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis fight has been set up. He believes that the whole affair was set up incorrectly from the start. He recalls Tank's press conference when he appeared hesitant about the weight class for the fight. Cormier believes this part is critical because it demonstrates how odd and unstructured the system is in a sport, where weight classes are intended to keep competitors safe and balanced. It is quite concerning that there is so much misunderstanding surrounding this match. Cormier also discusses how the two combatants differ in terms of size. He claims that Jake Paul is simply too big compared to Tank, and that this disparity cannot be overlooked. He claims that this type of bout goes beyond what is typically allowed in boxing. He openly asks how the proper people could have agreed to such a plainly unfair conflict. He believes that the mismatch not only renders the contest unfair, but also puts the smaller boxer in serious danger. Cormier stated that this bout demonstrates how poor boxing standards are and how dangerous it is to prioritize entertainment over fair combat.
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to Gervonta Davis. And two, Gervonta Davis don't even know what weight they fighting, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition.
It was 190.
The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds.
I said it was 190.
The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this, and we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like, everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just, it's, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled, but this fight should not be happening. And the press conference was embarrassing. Gervonta Davis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
D, why? Why, D?
Just the fact that, like, every time when Jake Paul would say something to Gervonta Davis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to, like, P. Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. He's like, I thought it was
bad,
190, it was 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad.
Gervonta Davis reflects on his career and reveals that becoming a boxing champion was not his original goal. Instead, he was focused on making enough money to change his life and create a problem-free future. Boxing was his path out, but he wasn't always looking to win titles or become famous. His ambition was always to be financially secure and stable, rather than to become a sporting hero. This experience helps us understand his current decisions.
And why he's fighting YouTube sensation turned professional boxer Jake Paul, who is 12 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 7 wins by way of knockout, opposed to fighting against the likes of his peers who are well accomplished and superstars in their own right for legacy fights like Shakur Stevenson, like Teofimo Lopez, like Devin Haney. Why he's not interested in those fights. And he gets real, right? He gets real, and only thing we could do is salute it, right? Because he's saying, I never told y'all I wanted to be a world champion. I never told y'all I wanted to be undisputed. I got into this for myself and my circumstances to escape from my circumstances. And that's real. We can't blame him for that. We hold him in high regard because the statements he's made and misled people when he said he got a hit list that he wants to check off before he retires, and that hit list includes Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, who turned down the fight because of a severe back injury. And then he told the world, he told Champside, it would be great for him to become undisputed. So I think that he had a change of heart at some point in time along the way, right?
According to Showbiz the Adult, Jake Paul deserves credit for using his platform to get more people interested in boxing and for creating campaigns that casual fans can participate in. There is no doubt that he can entice people to watch and talk about him. And many in the sport think that Jake has opened up new avenues for marketing and reaching a larger audience. Showbiz also discusses the other side of the story, claiming that Jake is frequently criticized for how he manages his fighting career. Boxing fans are most concerned because he consistently chooses opponents who are either too small, retired, or not naturally competitive at his level.
Boxing is going to sing his praises like a hero. Though Jake Paul is definitely appreciated by the boxing world when it comes to what he is giving to the sport, especially women's boxing, okay? I mean, it goes without saying that Jake Paul, an MVP, has added to the sport of boxing. But Jake Paul, the fighter, people are over his shit. There's a huge amount of boxing pugilists in the boxing community who's over his shit. And if Gervonta Tank Davis stops that, if he is the one who stops this whole train, knocking out Jake Paul, he will become a boxing hero. People will then say, now get the hell out the sport. And I'm talking about from a fighter's perspective. That's what they're going to say. Now, it's not going to go on either one of their official records because it's an exhibition.
People who value the sport's tradition of fair and balanced matches are upset by this. According to Showbiz, the frequent criticism has spurred debate over whether Jake is ultimately beneficial or detrimental to the image of boxing. He believes that if Gervonta Davis defeats Jake Paul convincingly, it will put an end to the trend of mismatched matchups. Tank would not only win handsomely, but he would also be recognized as a boxing hero for upholding the sport's integrity.
Optically, visually, seeing that go viral, and I mean go viral, and Jake Paul will never hear the end of it.
We're gonna have to help you up. We're gonna have to help you up. We're gonna see about it. Help you up. We're gonna.
Because Gervonta Tank Davis is not only a real boxer, he's a real boy. He's 5'5". He's a lightweight. Skills pay the bills. Let him knock out Jake Paul, give him Bambi legs, or knock him down. Gervonta Tank Davis, that moment will go viral, and he will be a far bigger, well-known boxer than he is today, and he will also be a hero. And that's the Black Two Sugars. That you guys don't want to admit it. Don't bull jive. Think about it.
And that's it for today's video. Continue to watch. Until next time.